Hello all. In this video we will discuss how to compute time complexity of algorithm. The time complexity is nothing but the amount of computed time it needs to run to completion. So we are talking about execution time required for the algorithm. In order to compute the time complexity, what we are going to do is we are going to assign a charge to every executable statement. Okay, this charge would be denoted by the symbol S oblique E. And for simplicity, we will assume that every instruction requires 1 unit of time. No matter how simple the instruction is, no matter how complex the instruction is, every instruction will be given a charge of 1. So S oblique E would always be 1 for every instruction of the algorithm. So let's see some examples. Let's see an algorithm for addition of two numbers. Okay, so we are going to take two numbers as an input from user. We are going to perform the addition and print the result. Okay, so what will be those instructions? Those instructions would be like this. You read the first number, you read the second number, you perform the addition, put the result into third variable and print the value of that variable. Okay, now how many instructions are there? Four instructions are there. And what would be the charge assigned to every instruction? 1 unit. Okay, as we have already decided. Every instruction will be given a charge of 1 unit. There are only four instructions. And how many times each instruction gets executed? Only once, right? Because there is no loop over here. So every instruction will execute only once, and every instruction will require a charge of 1 unit. Okay, so how many total number of steps are performed by the algorithm? The total number of steps performed by the algorithm would be 4. So my total step count of this algorithm would be 4. Now you see 4 is a constant value. Okay, so today I run the program, it will require 4 units of time. 10 days later I run the program, it will require 4 units of time. 10 years later if I run the program, it will still require 4 units of time. So time required is fixed. The time required for this algorithm is not dependent on the particular execution of that algorithm. Such algorithms are called as instance independent algorithm, because the time required for such algorithm is not dependent on a particular instance at which you are running the algorithm. Every instance of that algorithm requires fixed amount of time, and when we have fixed amount of time, it is a constant time required for the algorithm. And whenever an algorithm requires a constant amount of time, we say that the time complexity is order of 1. Okay, now in the previous video we have discussed this algorithm for summation of all n elements in the array. Now which statements are executable statements over here? 3, 4, 5 and 6. These are the executable statements. Okay, what is the charge assigned to every instruction? 1. As you can see, S oblique E is 1. But now since this is an iterative code, we have to check how many times a certain statement gets executed when you run this algorithm on the machine. So if you run this algorithm on the machine, S assigned 0 is not part of any loop. So the frequency of this statement would be 1. Means how many times this statement will run? Only once. Okay. Now, how many times this for loop statement itself will get executed? This for loop statement itself will get executed n plus 1 times. Why n plus 1 times? N times when the condition was true, and n plus 1th occasion when the condition was false. Okay, so I will iterate from 1 to n, and when I iterates from 1 to n, the condition is true, but when I becomes n plus 1, the condition is false, but we have to check that. So n plus 1th occasion when the condition was false. So the frequency for this statement happens to be n plus 1. Okay, then this statement is part of the loop, as you can see. So this statement will run n times. Okay, of course, because the loop is true n times. Finally, return s is not part of the loop, so it will only execute once. Now what we are going to do, we are going to perform multiplication of charge into frequency, s oblique E into frequency. So I get total steps as 1, n plus 1, n and 1. When I add all these values together, I get 2n plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's 3. So my total step count in this algorithm happens to be 2n plus 3. Okay, 2n plus 3. Total step count in the previous algorithm which we discussed happens to be 2n plus 3. Now in 2n plus 3, who is the dominating player? Because 2 is a constant and 3 is also a constant. We are adding 3 and we are multiplying by 2. N is instance dependent characteristic. Okay, what is the final value of 2n plus 3 is largely determined or dominated by n. Unless you know the value of n, you will not be able to know what is 2n plus 3. So the time required for this algorithm is largely dependent on what is n. Okay, what is n? So the dominating or the instance dependent player in 2n plus 3 happens to be n. Okay. The thumb rule is somewhat like this. You can simply ignore the coefficients of n and you can ignore the constant. So when you ignore the constant 3 and when you ignore the coefficients of n like 2, the time complexity happens to be order of n. The time complexity happens to be order of n. Okay. Now let's see another algorithm for matrix addition. Okay. So let's say we are given two square matrices of size n cross n. Okay, and a we have two matrices A and B. Both are square matrices, right? N rows, n columns. We want to add these two matrices and the result shall be stored in the output matrix C of the same size. Okay, so let's see the algorithm table. Okay, so this is the algorithm. We need two loops now, right? One for rows, other for columns. I will iterate from 1 to n, j will iterate from 1 to n, and every time we are going to perform the addition of that respective ith row and jth element of A with ith row and jth element of B, and we store the result into another matrix, say C. Okay, so what would be the frequencies? Now as we know that the charge assigned for every statement is 1, there is no point in multiplying by 1 or showing the charge. Okay, charge would always be 1. We are only interested in frequency. So the first for loop, the outer for loop, will execute n plus 1 times as explained in the previous slide. Then the inner for loop will iterate n into n plus 1 times, n times when the outer for loop was true, and n plus 1 times every time when this for loop executes, right? Every time when this inner for loop executes, that would be n plus 1, and n times when the outer for loop is true. So that happens to be n square plus n. The statement within the inner for loop will execute n into n times, because this statement is part of outer as well as inner for loop. Outer for loop is true n times, inner for loop is also true n times. So the statement within the inner for loop will execute n into n times, that is n square times. And finally return C. This statement is not part of the loop, it will execute only once, right? So n plus 1, n square plus n, n square and 1. When you add all these values together, you get 2n square plus 2n plus 2. Okay, 2n square plus 2n plus 2 is the total step count of this algorithm. So the total step count is 2n square plus 2n plus 2. So the dominating players in 2n plus 2n square plus 2n plus 2 happens to be n square and n. There are two terms of n now, n and n square. But out of n and n square, who grows faster? N square will grow faster than n. If you substitute the values of n as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, you will realize the graph for n square grows faster than the graph of n. Okay. So the thumb rule again is to ignore low order terms of n, coefficients of n, and ignore constants as well. So we are going to ignore the constant, we are going to ignore the coefficients, and we are going to ignore the lower order terms of n. In n square and n, the lower order term is n, so we are going to ignore n as well. So the time complexity of this algorithm is largely determined by n square. Okay, hence the time complexity of this algorithm happens to be order of n square. Now in the previous video we have discussed this algorithm as well for summation of all n elements in the array in a recursive way. Okay. Now here we have to take two cases, when what happens when n is 0 and what happens when n is greater than 0, because you can see when n is 0 or less than 0 there are no recursive calls, but when n is greater than 0 there is a recursive call. So you have to distinguish between these two cases. Okay, now let's take an example when n is 0. If n is 0, then which two statement gets executed? Statement 3 and statement 4. Statement 3 and statement 4. No recursive calls, so fifth statement doesn't get executed at all. This condition is true and you return 0. So that total step count happens to be 2. Total step count happens to be 2 when n is 0. When n is greater than 0, you still check this condition, but this condition is false. So that statement requires 1 unit of time. Return 0 will not get executed because if condition is false. and then you execute the fifth statement. Fifth statement, execution of fifth statement requires 1 unit of charge, as you can see, 1 unit of charge, but that statement itself involves a call to the same algorithm, a recursive call to the same algorithm, right? R sum a comma n minus 1. So we have to take into account the time required for this recursive call as well. And let's say the time required for this recursive call on input size n minus 1 is denoted as t r sum n minus 1, which will denote it with x, for example. So the time required for fifth statement is actually 1 plus x. Why 1 plus x? 1 for that statement itself for returning and adding, and x is the time required for the recursive call to r sum on input size n minus 1. Okay, so when n is greater than 0, my total step count happens to be 1 plus 1, that's 2, and then this x. But we know what is x. X is time required for r sum on input size n minus 1. Okay, so let's see how we can obtain the time complexity of this algorithm. So when analyzing a recursive program for its step count, we often obtain a recursive formula for the step count. So time required for r sum on input size n happens to be 2 if n is 0. We know that if n is 0, the condition is 2 and we return 0, no more recursive call. So the time complexity is 2 units. Okay. And if n is greater than 0, then the time required for this same algorithm would be 2 plus tr sum n minus 1. In the previous slide we have discussed it is 2 plus x. So what was x? X was time required for r sum on input size n minus 1. Okay. These recursive formulas are also called as recurrence relations. So one way to solve is to use substitution method. So let's see how to use the substitution method for solving this recurrence relation. So this is what we have, right? If n is 0, the time required is 2. If n is greater than 0, the time required is 2 plus tr sum n minus 1. Time required to execute the same algorithm on input size n minus 1. Now see, if tr sum n is 2 plus tr sum n minus 1, we are going to substitute the value of tr sum n minus 1. Okay, so what it would be? So this 2 is as it is, this 2 is as it is, and tr sum n minus 1 happens to be 2 plus tr sum n minus 2. Okay. If tr sum n is 2 plus tr sum n minus 1, then tr sum n minus 1 is 2 plus tr sum n minus 2. N minus 2, quite logical. This 2 is as it is. 2 plus 2 plus tr sum n minus 2. Now we are going to substitute the value of tr sum n minus 2. What it would be? It would be 2 plus tr sum n minus 3. Right? 2 plus tr sum n minus 3. This 2 plus 2 is as it is. Now one interesting thing to notice over here is this. When you subtract 1, there is one occurrence of 2. When you subtract 2, there are two occurrences of 2. And when you subtract 3, there are three occurrences of 2. So similarly, when we have n minus n, how many occurrences of 2 would be there? N occurrences would be there, because when we are subtracting 3, there are 3 occurrences of 2, as you can see. So when you subtract n, there would be n occurrences of 2. Now what is tr sum n minus n? N minus n is 0, right? So I can always write n into 2 as 2n plus tr sum 0. N minus n is 0. And what is the value of tr sum when the input is 0? When the input is 0, the output is 2, as you can see over here. So this value is substituted over here. So what you get is 2n plus 2. So this is my total step count, 2n plus 2. Now you know you have to ignore constants, you have to ignore coefficients. So what you get is the time complexity as order of n. Okay, total step count is 2n plus 2. So the time complexity happens to be order of n. In the next video, we will start with asymptotic notations, in which we will discuss big O and little o notations. Thank you.